grab your hops, grab your snops, and sit on the fucking couch because there's no goddamn fish in that lake.
Welcome to the Rendezvous. We're doing a recap episode of how our latest ice fishing tournament went, and Hoon and I mean, we didn't win anything, but at least we caught a fucking fish this time, so that's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish it would have been a 2-day tournament instead of just Saturday. And obviously, we're talking about the Rotary Ice Fishing Derby at Lake Desmet in February. It was just on a Saturday last weekend, and I caught one fish and drank for almost 24 hours. And yeah, Hoon caught, what'd you end up catching? 8?
I ended up catching 7, but if the Game and Fish asked, tell them I caught 6. Nothing fucking quality.
You just can't keep 6. Or you can catch more than 6, you can only keep 6 though. That's
yeah, I threw one back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I ended up catching 6 rainbows, just nothing worth money.
You didn't?
Fuckers.
I thought they were all rainbows?
Yeah, I thought I had one cutthroat, but what I ended up, I don't know, it's kind of weird. One side of the rainbow had no red or like stripage to it, so I thought it was like a cutthroat, but no, it was a rainbow.
How do you know it was a rainbow then?
Because when you catch a fish, are you looking at the entire fish? Because I don't. I looked at like one side. It was like pasty, so I was like, this kind of looks like a cutthroat sort of. But no, like once I kind of like drowned the shit out of it, it got a little red back, so it was a rainbow.
Oh.
I was just being fucking retarded.
What do you mean you drowned the shit out of it?
You know, you just drown the fish.
In air?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I caught a lake trout, so I guess I have that on you. So
you didn't catch shit.
Yeah. Well, I was telling you when we talked about how it went that Sunday, and I thought it was going to be a lot bigger. I don't know. That lake is so damn clear, Lake Desmet. I could see the bottom where I was fishing, and I was in about 12 feet of water. And I'm just talking with one of my dad's friends about football and stuff, and my bobber starts going down. And I'm like, holy shit. And I get over my hole and I'm looking and I can see the fish down there, and I am holding the pole that the bobber went down. My other pole is to the right of me, and I see this big lake trout hit what I thought was my other pole, but that had nothing on it, and it actually hit the pole in my hand, but I don't know, I just didn't feel it because it kind of hit soft. And anyways, it looks big down there because the water's so clear, it magnifies everything. I'm like, holy fuck, I just won the tournament.
Holy shit, where in the money?
Because, like, my dad's sending me updates over text the whole time, and, like, hey, leaderboard's about 16 inches at the time. And this fish looks like it's 20 inches. And nothing was really being turned in over 16. And so, in the water, this fish looks massive. And I reel it up, and I'm like, oh my god, get this fucker in here. And it ended up being, I don't know, like 15, inches. It looked so much smaller once it got out of the water, and I was like, oh, rip.
Hey, at least you caught something.
Yeah. I am too, just happy I caught something. I think we were in a wrong spot. Like the guys I was with, it was me and a couple other guys, my uncle, one of my dad's friends, and then another one of my dad's friends who listens to the podcast, John Green. And we caught 6 or 7 as a group, which isn't bad. I mean, there's a lot of people that fish at Lake Desmet and don't catch anything. And that day in particular, there was a lot of people coming in to see if they'd won a door prize. And we're telling my dad that they didn't catch a thing all day. And it was kind of a shitty day if you weren't catching anything because the wind was blowing 30 miles an hour and it was a blizzard. And you were out like in the middle of the lake, right by like that where that big straightaway is and that sunken island. Yeah, you were just right in the fucking tornado alley, weren't you? Yeah, well, the water was down so low that island was actually showing rocks because usually it's underwater. You could stand on rocks. But anyways, so we're probably 100 feet from the west or 100 yards from the west shore, maybe less. Not that far from shore. We could not see the other shore of Lake Desmet because it was such a blizzard. We put out a tip up trying to catch a big lake trout out in the middle of the lake, maybe 100 yards away, and we could not see that flag after a while.
Oh yeah, by about 2:00 in the afternoon, that shit was picking up. Just total whiteout.
Yeah.
But that spot I was at, because I was in the South Bay by like the South Dock. That bay is like right in the good spot where it's blocking all the wind in all directions. So I had pretty good weather the whole time. And right where my ice house was sitting, I was right on the edge of a weed bed that was in that bay. And I guess that was a hot spot because I was like, oh shit, there's a fish down there. The whole time. For all the time I was out there, whatever it was, 9 hours or some shit. I seen fish looking through the ice, like you were saying, just really clear water. Just look down the ice hole and you could just see them swimming back and forth all around. Every once in a while, I'd see a fish kind of nibble at my hook and leave. But not too shabby.
So, my dad sent me a text because he talked to someone who he knew that was about, I think they were off of at the end of the cove, like where it starts going out in the main lake. They were fishing in 3 to 4 feet of water and 10 yards from shore, and they caught 40 fish that day. And they were all small, too small to turn in.
What'd they catch? Was it like little
all rainbows and just 13 to 15 inch rainbows.
Oh, they were catching trout.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they also had what was it? They had, you can catch trout. There was walleye on the board, kokanee salmon, and perch, right?
Yeah, so I'll give you a breakdown of what they ended up paying out. Rotary kind of made a little bit of more money than they were expecting. They gave out so there were the 4 categories were trout, perch, kokanee, and walleye. In each of the categories, they paid first, second, third place, $1,000 to first, $300 to second, and $200 to third. Well, so they paid out first, second, third in the trout, and I think the biggest trout was maybe 18 and a half inches, maybe something like that. So really not that big compared to what you can catch in that lake. I think that was the biggest fish overall too. So even none of there was one walleye turned in. That was about 17 inches. And I think they had maybe 5 perch turned in. So they paid first, second, third in trout and perch, and then one walleye, and did not have a single kokanee salmon turned in. So they banked $1,500 from kokanee salmon, another $500 from walleye. And then they gave out $1,000 in door prizes, and we didn't win anything because my dad probably saw Hoon's name and was like, "This fucking kid ain't getting shit."
Oh yeah, I bet he probably did that. He probably drew my name. And he's like, "Oh shit, Hunter got drawn for a door prize. Well, he was supposed to help with the fucking tournament. You could just throw this in the garbage." Fuck.
Yeah, and then they had 200 tagged fish, and if you caught a tagged fish, you could turn it in for $50. So out of 200 tagged fish, only 2 got turned in, and I guess these fish were monsters too. So if you were gonna catch a tagged fish, you were gonna also be in the running for trout money, because all these fish were 17 plus inches, just fat. I think my dad said the biggest one they put out was a 24-inch rainbow trout. And not like 2 got caught, which sucked. But
yeah, I think that's nuts, because in colder weather, fish tend not to swim around as much. They tend to stay a little localized. And they put the fish in, what was it, 2 days before the tournament, 3 days?
They put them in Wednesday, so 4 days, because they had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday to, yeah.
Yeah, 4 days, they're still not going to leave that main area, like, very far. And considering how many people we had out there, it's nuts only 2 got caught.
Yeah, so there were 377 people signed up for this tournament, and like we said with Saratoga, there's probably a couple of those people that are fishing with a buddy, and only one of them is turning in fish. But so maybe around 400 people fishing, and then you have kids fishing too, and they might not sign up anyways. So you had plenty of people out there fishing on that lake, and to only turn in 2 tagged fish is crazy.
Yeah, that's what I was banking on. That's why I was in the South Cove, is because I figured they dumped the fish in there. So I'm like, well, if I don't luck out with a walleye or anything like that, at least I might be able to get away with catching a tagged fish or 2, at least get my entry fee back. But nope, nothing.
Well, they really spread them out. They placed them all over the place.
Oh yeah, like all over the west shores.
Yeah.
And it was pretty spread out. I mean, there are ice houses everywhere.
They really didn't go place that far north of the Monument Marina Cove area. But everywhere south of that, I guess my dad and his buddy would take 6 to 8 and then go drill a couple holes and throw them down a couple holes, and then go to another area, take 6 or 8 and throw them down another couple holes. And so, yeah, who knows what happened with that. But good thing for Rotary, they had the 3 businesses that they were trying to support. They ended up splitting $25,000 between those 3 businesses, which was more than they thought. They were thinking like if they could get them $6,000 to split, that'd be great. And so, I mean, they each business basically got $8,000, which is way more than they ever thought. So they did a good job with that. But
yeah. But yeah, but like you were saying earlier, I really do think it should have been a 2-day tournament. Most of the tournaments I've been to are typically like 2-day tournaments. it just works out. People schedule a little more. You can make a weekend out of it. What's up?
Is Mobridge 2-day?
Mobridge is a 1 day, but people are usually out there over the course of 3 days. You have 1 day to drink. Second day you're drinking and fishing, and then the third day you're drinking and spending money on prizes. So,
yeah. I want to go with you, but I'm a little bit further than I was back before I took this job in Cody. I'm another 3 hours away.
Fuck it, dude. Plane ticket.
Fuck that. I'll just learn to fly.
Dude, you're the same distance from Mobridge as like I am to Las Vegas.
Fuck.
Fuck. Yeah.
I mean, really, it's not that far. If the roads are good, it's when the roads are bad that it takes all day.
Oh, dude, it's in North Dakota winter. The roads are never good.
South Dakota winter.
Or whatever. It's right on the border.
It's not right on the border. It's a good 30 miles from the border. It's like saying Buffalo's right on the border of Montana.
It is. Well, I gotta take a detour through North Dakota because I gotta fucking pick up people. You gotta start partying 3 days beforehand. Fuck.
Oh.
Yeah.
I bet you guys drive clear up to Lemon, South Dakota, and then pop into North Dakota, maybe drive to Canada, and then drop down to Mobridge.
Yeah, stop in Canada, throw a line in the water, catch a nice walleye, drive it back to Mobridge. That's what I swear half of those fuckers are doing.
Yeah.
I remember I was at a Keyhole Tournament. I had to be like 12 years old. I was up at Keyhole. Someone turns in this northern pike. Thing is just pure fucking porcelain white. Eyes are just glazed over. Thing looks like it's been in a freezer for fucking 3 years. This guy turns it in, stiff as a board. He's like, "Hey, can I turn this in?" And the fucking people running the tournament's like, "Yeah, sure." I'm like, "This is bullshit."
Did you ever figure out when that Keyhole tournament was this year? For ice fishing?
I never found out. I don't know what they're doing with the tournament because they never advertise it, but it always seems like it happens every year. It's like the only place they advertise. You got to walk into the R bar in Pine Haven and like look at a little 8.5 by 11 piece of paper hanging on the wall on the back shelf.
Yeah. Well, so my dad only, I guess he said Rotary only advertised really in Sheridan, Buffalo, and maybe some in Gillette. Next year they're going to try, they talked to the guy that runs the Rocky Mountain Discount Sports in Casper, and he said they're going to try to advertise there because they're pretty sure they'll get more people that way because I guess a lot of people, I guess there's a lot of ice fishers that come through that store in particular. And but I guess they had people from Montana and South Dakota come over for this Lake Desmet tournament, which kind of, I'm not surprised about Montana because it's pretty close, but South Dakota.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that Mobridge tournament, every time they announce a winner, they always announce where they're from. And there's some people that are coming from the middle of fucking nowhere, like Utah or like Arizona. And it's like, how the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Next year I do want to help get the thing organized, but they got to make that thing a 2-day tournament.
Yeah.
I feel like they would get a lot more people to show up to the tournament if it was 2 days. Because a lot of people aren't going to come from all around. Like, Casper, yeah, I could see you getting some people from Casper, but I bet you could get more if they have like an incentive to come up for like the whole weekend. So like, oh, 2-day tournament, well, we can make a weekend out of it. Spend a couple days fishing, pulling some campers, whatever. Rather than just.
I even kind of, I like the idea of a 2-day tournament, but I think I'd rather do it like a Friday, Saturday tournament, or just open it up Friday. You say you can fish from Friday at noon to Sunday at like noon, and turn your fish in at the end. Because like if you're gonna fish till Sunday at 5, then that's kind of a drag. Being done with that, and then driving back to wherever you're from and trying to go to work Monday. I was exhausted. I'll tell you that much. Monday morning, I didn't get much done. But
well, that wasn't because of fishing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, dude, I was swamped all week with work. Like I was pretty busy, and then my boss had a meeting on Friday right before we left, and he's like, "Yeah, the next couple of weeks we're probably all going to be doing 50 to 50 plus hours," and I'm like, "Fuck." Yeah.
So I know for a fact you probably had at least 12 beers during the tournament, but how many did you have after?
Well, so I was trying to keep track on my phone.
Yeah.
And it got away from me. I'll tell you that much, because the first beer I cracked open was at like 6:45 in the morning. But mostly all morning I was drinking hot chocolate and peppermint schnapps. But then I think I only had like 6 beers during the actual tournament hours. Couple pulls of Ajunka from my flask. And but then once I got to Sheridan, my mom had a family get together at our house because my uncle and aunt were in town and cousins were in town, and so we're drinking during that. And and then we went to the Mint Bar, and I got home at 2:30. And yeah, I definitely, it was a long day. I'll tell you that much.
Fuck. I believe it.
Well, really, I know it was a long day because we didn't finish the night at the Mint Bar. We finished the night at the Beaver Creek Saloon. And if
Beaver, huh?
Yeah, if you've been downtown and partied downtown Sheridan, and you know about the Beaver, you know what kind of night you've had if you end up at the Beaver. But
fuck.
Not good. Well, fuck. We ended up. My sister gave us a ride because she said she was good to drive, and so we're leaving the Beaver, and this guy is outside the Beaver Creek Saloon. Bloodied Lip had gotten into some bar fight or gotten the crap beat out of him for I don't know what. Who knows? Talking to some dude's girl probably. And my sister's a nurse, so her nurse actions kicked in, and she knew the guy. I guess. I think. I don't know. We give him a ride to his house, and she's trying to take care of him, and he's got a busted lip. It's not that bad. It's not like chopping your foot in half with an axe while you're chopping wood. He's going to be fine. And I'm irritated because I'm tired. I've been up since 4 a.m. And I'm like, just take us home. Just put him inside. He'll be fine. She's like, I'm going to get him all cleaned up and get him stitches and stuff. I think she went back to his house to get him stitches, but I don't know.
He doesn't need stitches.
He didn't need stitches. He got a busted lip. I was getting pissed off. I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's not, like, he'll be okay. He's not going to die. I guess, so she took us home. She went home, go to bed. She gets a knock on her door at 4 a.m. from the cops. I guess his drunk ass walked all the way to the police station, like 2 miles away. And so they're trying to figure out what happened to this dude and wake up my sister at 4 a.m. Like, what the fuck? That's why you don't help drunk people.
Fuck.
I know I called you that night, 2 in the morning.
Yeah, you fucker. 2:30 in the morning, I get a call from Davis, just drunk screaming into the phone. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, I figured you'd be up. I mean, in my head, I'm thinking we were just at a tournament. I know Hoon's family likes to party. He's probably up. He wasn't because I don't know what's wrong with him. Using bed right
half my family was out of town that weekend doing shit, so no one really had anything going on. So it's like, all right, let's go to bed at 9:30. Because I got up at 4 a.m. that morning, so I'm like, got tired by 9, and I was like, fuck, let's go to bed. Here comes Davis, 2:30 in the morning. Hey, Hoon, what the fuck are you doing? Get over here. What the fuck?
Yeah. It happens, dude.
It does.
I mean, I enjoyed it. I'll go back. I'll do that whole tournament weekend again, even if it's one day.
Oh yeah, I think it's great having another tournament going on. Because like a lot of the tournaments, like they might have like one tournament a year at certain lakes. But I know they used to have a fishing tournament at Desmet. I can't remember who was putting it on. I don't know if it was the Lions Club or what, but they used to do an annual fishing tournament. But they just kind of stopped. So I think it's great they're doing another ice fishing tournament. I mean, I do get it. It does need to be late in the wintertime because Desmet doesn't freeze over till mid-February anyways.
Although, that's not always true because we've done the polar plunge and jumped in with 6 to 8 inches of ice before on January 1st, so...
Oh yeah, but then starting January 2nd, you get some weird-ass 2 weeks of 65-degree weather in the middle of January, and it's gone again. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Take your boat out, and next week it's froze.
So, yesterday I'm driving up to Yellowstone and back, or the closed entrance to Yellowstone, and I was driving by Buffalo Bill Reservoir, and there's ice on there, but it's about like 60 degrees yesterday. And I look out on the ice, I'm like, fuck, how thick is that? And you can tell it's melting just because it was so fucking hot. But I mean, even if it's 12 inches thick, there's no big deal. Like, you could still ice fish on there. So I was thinking, like, I got nothing to do tomorrow. I wonder if I should check that out. But yeah. So for our listeners, my Wi-Fi went out midway through that story. So if it's a really bad story, like, there's about, what would you say, Hoon, a 2-hour gap in there of where we started recording, the Wi-Fi went out, and then we didn't think the episode recording had saved, and so we just we're talking about other stuff and then decided not to record and recorded another day. And then figured out the recording did save, and so we're finishing the episode like 2 hours later. So
yeah, I don't know what the fuck he was talking about.
Yeah, so I remember that story was where it cut out, but I don't remember why I was telling it. So Yeah, that's the end of the story. I'm sorry if it does not make sense.
I don't think you had a story. I think you just said, yeah, I went for a drive and there was a river right there. Or Reservoir.
Well, it had to do something with like me wanting to check out how thick the ice on that reservoir was. I don't know.
Fuck.
Anyways, since it's 2 hours later, you want to do closing thoughts about the Desmet ice fishing tournament?
I guess. But I'll let you go first.
No.
Why?
Fine, I'll go first.
Cool.
Yeah, not a bad tournament. Like we said, I kind of wish the weather was nicer. Although leading up, you had been saying you wished you were hoping for bad weather so less people would go out and fish.
Yeah, definitely.
So you'd have a better chance of winning. But obviously, we both suck at fishing, and okay. There's one funny story that came from like the end of the day of this tournament. John Green was helping me reel in my tip-ups, and he's giving me shit because I had on my tip-ups, at the end of it, I had steel leader in case of walleye bites, and then I had a decently sized hook with a minnow on. He's giving me shit that the hook's too big and that I'm basically fishing for a fucking killer whale and we're going for trout and stuff. And so apparently, like, my fishing gear is fucked. I'm a terrible fisherman. Don't take any fishing advice from me. And honestly, for our listeners, probably don't take any from Hoon because he's not much better. I think Bridger might be right. We just are not good ice fishermen.
No, I'm not a good trout fisherman. I would have caught a walleye if there was more than 2 fucking walleye in that goddamn lake.
Well, there's walleye, there's perch in that lake, there's lake trout, there's kokanee salmon.
Way too much fucking trout. The Game and Fish needs to come in and just turbo dump a fuck ton of walleye in there. Kill off all the trout.
Yeah.
No one wants to catch a fucking trout.
Well, apparently everybody want to catch trout. But,
well, their opinions don't matter because they're wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm just not good at ice fishing for trout, at least. Honestly, I don't think I'm good fishing for trout. Because the only time I even caught trout last summer was when I was backpacking in the wilderness area. All summer long, going to different rivers on the mountain and shit. I didn't catch shit. I just don't think I'm a good trout fisherman. I don't think I'm a good fisherman whatsoever. Like, I don't even know why I'm running this podcast. I'm not a good outdoorsman.
Fuck it. Can you fucking do anything right?
No, I can't do anything, dude. I can't kill an elk. I can't kill anything with a bow. And if I do, I spine them. I can't catch a fish. It's like, why Jacek leave me in charge of this?
But you can drink a beer.
I can drink a beer and that's about it.
Fuck.
Fuck.
Yeah, well, that's just about all you need to do, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, I think the tournament was pretty fun. I had a good time. Bad day of fishing is better than the best day of working.
Yeah. Except I actually make money when I work, so it's not that bad right now. I need the money.
So you buy more fish.
Did you ever go out to Hattie?
Part of me wanted to go out to Hattie, but the other part of me knows, first off, there's no fucking fish in that lake. And second off, I just said that. And second off, even if it did have some fucking fish in that lake, it's so goddamn windy. There's no fucking way you could set up an ice house without blowing across the goddamn lake. Thing's a fucking parasail.
Oh, that reminds me. So early in the morning, I'd set up in one spot. I thought I was too shallow. I was setting up in the dark. Drilled the hole when it was dark. God set up everything. Looked down the hole and it was finally light. I'm in 5 feet of water and I'm like, fuck. Now I gotta start over. And so I found what I thought was a better spot, and technically it was because that's where I caught my one single fish. And so I'm moving my ice hut, and it's windy because the storm was just starting. And I'm trying to set this fucker up in the wind, and my dumbass had my door to the ice hut unzipped and facing the wind. And so the wind's going up there, and it's picking this whole ice hut up. And John Green's holding it down so I can, like, tie it into the ice and do an ice screw in so it doesn't blow away. I lost one of my screws. I don't know where that's at. It just disappeared. And took me like half an hour to get set up again. It was stupid. I need one of the ice huts like you have that you can just pull on a sled and pop up.
Oh yeah, the ones on the sled? Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like they're easier to set up. You don't have to screw anything into the ice. That's what takes the most part to set up mine. And you don't have to do it if it's not windy, but it's fucking windy everywhere in this goddamn state. So.
All those fucking windmills, man.
Somebody needs to turn those windmills off, man. This is ridiculous.
Fuck.
Yeah. So I wish it would have been better weather. What? Because I like sitting outside.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess the weather could have been better. But, it was kind of in February, so can't ask for too much. But yeah, that's what's kind of nice about, like, so we're about March right now, so about like end of March, early April, still have some ice out on some lakes. I think that's one of my favorite times to go ice fishing. Cause like the ice is melting slowly, but it's nice out. You can wear a t-shirt and sit out there and ice fish in actual nice weather. That's probably one of my favorite times to go.
That's why I thought about that Buffalo Bill Reservoir this weekend. Cause it's like 60 degrees, but if that ice is thick enough, I mean, I could be in a t-shirt and shorts and ice fishing. I didn't bring any of my ice fishing stuff to Cody, but, did you bring your stuff to Laramie? Like, are you going to go to Hattie anytime soon, next couple weeks?
See, I was thinking about it before I left Buffalo to come back down to Laramie. I was like, fuck, I should really bring my ice fishing shit in case I want to go out to Hattie or something and try my luck. But, I was being honest with myself. I was like, I'm not going to fucking drive out there. Hattie's fucking stupid. There's no fucking fish worth catching, and it's too goddamn windy. I can't even walk out my front door without getting pissed off and falling over.
Yeah. I didn't realize how windy Cody is. It's kind of windy here.
On the wrong side of the mountain.
Yeah. I guess.
Back to Sheridan. Got that nice wind block.
Well, I mean, there's mountains in Cody. Like, it's kind of at the base of a mountain, but it's kind of funneled also.
Yeah.
So, yeah. My dad ended up buying I told you my dad bought a propane ice auger. super nice. Starts first pull, drills through the ice perfectly, and it's just using a little propane thing. So when you're done using it, you just have that same propane bottle and you hook it up to a heater. And that's what I needed in my ice hut for the Desmet tournament. I didn't have a heater, and I kept texting Hoon.
Yeah, I kept getting
the tournament. I was like, I will pay you so much money if you bring me your heater, man. Holy cow, was I freezing.
Yeah,
that's why I was having the shots of Vajunka to warm up, dude.
Yeah, so me and Davis were both out at the lake at like 5:30 in the morning. And initially we were going to go fish together in the same spot. Davis was with like a family friend of his, something like that. And they were like, hey, we're going to go over by the sunken island and try to catch a walleye. And I was like, I'm just going to hang out here by the bay, try my luck. If I don't catch anything, I'll probably head that way. Well, I started catching fish, and Davis didn't start catching fish. So I didn't make it very far.
You stopped catching fish when your dad and brother arrived, though.
Well, yeah. Well, see, hey, I put in the labor, man. I had a hand auger, and I had to drill fucking like 8 holes with the goddamn hand auger. I deserved to catch that fish. But then my dad and brother come over with their fucking 1975 Jiffy ice auger. That probably
is that the one you had at the Saratoga tournament?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
The loudest fucking engine that was ever produced, ever, even commercially. Drill a few holes at that thing. Anything that was in a fucking mile radius of that fucking ice auger was gone. Yeah, my dad called me. He's like, hey, you guys catch any fish? I'm like, well, I caught like 4 of them. He's like, oh shit, I'll be there in a few minutes. Shows up, drills a fucking hole, blew my goddamn ears out. It's like, didn't catch a fish for the rest of the day.
Fuck. Yeah, dude, should have had the auger we had. So convenient. Did you use any garland, like we did at Saratoga?
No, I didn't use any garland.
Oh.
But for the first time in my life, I actually caught something off a power bait, and that confused the shit out of me. I started off using minnows. Apparently trout don't like minnows. I know that now. Cause I could look right down the ice hole and I could see this trout swimming around. Nothing wanted to bite a minnow. Put a worm on. I had a couple trout like bite at the hook, but nothing wanted to take it. Put on some power bait and it bloop. I'm like, well, no shit. Look at that.
So we caught most of our fish on minnows.
Really?
In our group, yeah.
Yeah, I had 4 tip-ups out that all had minnows on. And then I started off with the 2 that were in my ice house, the poles. I had minnows on those to begin with. And didn't catch anything off of those. Like, I watched trout just swim by, just totally ignore them. I did see one trout swim by that I was nearly 100% certain could have placed in the tournament. But it just swam right by, just real slow just to make sure, like, it knew I was looking at him. And it swam by real slow just to fucking mock me. Swam right by my bait. I'm sitting there jigging. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Like, right in the middle of fucking feeding hour, like 11:30. I'm like, you fucker, get back here. Just swam right by. I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch. Yeah, it had to be like at least 22 inches. It was a nice sized trout. Nope, just kept swimming. It's about to drill another hole right next to the hole I had, just so I can like dive down and grab the fucker.
Yeah. Well, you sent me a video of that one.
Yeah, I sent you a video. I'm like, like, it was like looking at, it was a different one. It wasn't the big one, but it was one just like fucking looking at the hook, just didn't want to bite it. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Oh, okay. Before we end, you have 2 stories to tell.
Fuck.
One was, how'd you catch? You caught a fish that had bit someone else's line?
Yeah.
What happened with that?
So the first fish I caught, I sent you a picture. I think it was like 9 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah.
9:30. So I catch this fish and I'm reeling it in. I'm like, holy fuck, I actually caught something. And I reel it in and I thought my line was tangled because I got the fish to the ice and there's fucking line everywhere. And oh yeah, I know the other story you're thinking. But I get the fish through the ice and I got line tangled up everywhere. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like pulling it out and I finally get it unhooked because the thing like swallowed the hook. It swallowed my hook. And I'm trying to get this thing like untangled and I'm like, what the fuck? And I like rip out half its guts. It's the one I thought was a cutthroat. And part of the reason I thought it was a cutthroat is I basically mangled the fuck out of this fish trying to get the goddamn hook out. And I get it out and I still got shit tangled up and there's somebody else's line. It bit like somebody's tip up because it was like a big hook. It like swallowed.
Oh.
And it was like a thicker line too. And I'm like, what the fuck? And it was like 7 feet of string. And I'm just like spending like half my goddamn like rest of the hour getting this shit untangled. It's like, I think I know why the guy threw it back. It just wasn't worth dealing with the fucking fish.
Just cut the line and threw it back.
Yeah, but I finally got it tangled up. And I got his line out too, but I basically like ripped all the organs out of this fish. And I was like, fuck, I don't even want to turn this in because they're going to start asking questions. His fucking stomach's hanging out of its mouth.
So, if you know what the second story you need to tell is, you better tell it.
Oh yeah, I totally fucking forgot about this when we were talking about this fucking podcast. Totally fucking forgot. So, little backstory. I'll go to the backstory first. Should I start with the backstory of the first thing? Alright, so I don't know if we covered this in a previous episode when we were talking about our Saratoga tournament.
We did. For like briefly at the end, we mentioned it.
So we're at the Saratoga tournament this year, and somebody caught on their line a fucking muskrat. They're fishing with a minnow or some shit. Muskrat comes through, bites their fucking hook, and they're wrestling with this muskrat that they ripped through the ice. Muskrat are a little feisty, so they were probably having one hell of a fucking time trying to fight this thing off. And anyways, first time I ever heard of anybody dealing with the muskrat ice fishing was last year. I never heard anyone talk about it before. No one ever had an experience with it. First time I ever heard about it in my life, dealing with a muskrat.
No, that was this year. That was like a month ago.
Well, yeah, but like I meant like, you know what I mean. Before this one, whatever. So fast forward a couple months to this tournament. I'm sitting there fishing, right, just minding my business, eating my Funyuns, as one does when they're ice fishing. And I see my bobber tip, right? I'm sitting on the left side of my ice house and I have 2 rods out and I'm kind of jigging the one on the left and I look at my bobber on my right pole and it goes down. I'm like, holy shit, there's a fish over there. The bobber like tipped downwards. It didn't go under the ice. It fell over. Like if you push the hook up, there's no buoyant pressure pulling the bobber down. So it just falls over. Holy shit, something hit that line. So I'm looking at it. I'm kind of like looking down the ice hole and there's like no fish. I'm jigging. I'm like, because I can see right through the ice. I'm like, not a fucking fish over there. So I'm like jigging it a little bit and it does it again. I'm like, And I'm just kind of waiting for the bobber to go down. Doesn't go down. So I'm kind of sitting there watching the bobber, seeing if I see any action. And at the top of the ice, I just see a figure swim by, like a dark figure. And I'm like, oh shit, there's a fish swimming out on top. Now at this point, I haven't, seen any action in a while. So I'm like, fuck. I need, my first thought, which is anyone's thought, is, oh, that's a fish swimming across the top of the fucking ice. So I'm like, all right, if it swims by the ice again, I need to take my gaff, or I need to go through and try to catch it with my hands, just reach down the ice hole and try to pull a fish out of the ice. Well, I'm looking down the ice hole, wait for it to come back, and fucking 45 seconds pass, and a fucking muskrat climbs up and it's poking its fucking head out of my ice hole, and I'm looking at it, and it's looking at me. And it's just sitting there on the ice, and we're just staring at each other like, what the fuck? And it pops up at the ice hole. It's a smaller muskrat, but it's still a muskrat. And it's just like looking at me, and it's like right in front of my heater. And my heater's on full blast, nice and warm. And it's just sitting there, just getting nice and toasty. Hasn't felt anything warm in months. I'm just looking at this fucking muskrat like, no fucking shit. And I'm like, oh, my first thought was, I gotta call Davis, because this is fucking funny. It went back down the ice hole and it started fucking around doing its thing. Like, I gotta call Davis. I just had a fucking muskrat come through my ice hole. No fucking way he's gonna believe this, because this just happened a fucking month ago to somebody else. No fucking way this happens in the same goddamn fishing season twice. So about it, like, no fucking shit.
We need to talk to a wildlife biologist or something and figure out what the hell muskrats are doing under the ice during ice fishing season. Like, what is this?
Oh yeah, so fucking funny. But my favorite part about that muskrat is it never left the area. It never left the area. Once my dad and brother came over to where I was, I told my dad the story, and my dad was kind of like, yeah, bullshit. This guy's fucking lying. He's just making shit up. And then an hour passes, the same fucking thing happens to him. He's smoking a cigarette in his ice house, just kind of listening to the radio he's got going. He's kind of dozing off, sleeping like old guys do. And he kind of looks over. Same fucking thing. This muskrat's just hanging on the edge of his ice hole, and he's just looking at it. He's half dozed off, half asleep. What the fuck? Fucking muskrat comes up, goes back down the ice, starts swimming around, doing his shit. My dad's like, what the holy fuck? There's a muskrat here. About 20 minutes come by, and muskrat does it again. Keeps coming up through the same fucking ice hole. He's like, that son of a bitch. And this muskrat kept tripping his lines, all of his tip-ups. So my dad's looking out his window, and every fucking 20 minutes he looks out and there's a fucking flag up. So he's like, oh shit, flag. Goes over, there's no fucking fish on it. Fuck. It took him a while to realize it was probably just muskrats fucking around with his lines and shit, fucking with his tip up. I could hear him just cussing and shit because he's got a short fuse and he's just pissed off. He's got his gaff and he's waiting for it. He's just getting pissed off at this muskrat. He's sitting there over his fucking ice hole for the rest of the tournament, waiting for this fucking muskrat to pop through the ice so he can whack it because he's fucking with his shit. That was the funniest fucking thing, because I was catching fish, fairly regularly, caught 7 of them. And my brother, he didn't catch shit, but he was, doing his own shit. Probably shouldn't sing on the podcast, but and my dad caught 1 fish, and he's pissed off that I'm over there catch 5 by the time he caught anything. And it's because those muskrats swimming around just fucking pop up, scaring the fish away, swimming around. He's getting all pissed off. It's the funniest fucking thing.
Did your brother ever see it?
The muskrat?
Yeah.
No, my brother, he wasn't coherent enough to even deal with a muskrat.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Do you think he saw it? And it was
You were seeing other shit. I ain't saying much. All I know, it looked like a fucking chimney coming out of his pop-up.
He probably was thinking just this is some good shit I'm smoking.
Fuck. Well, yeah, that fucking muskrat. The second I seen that thing pop up through the ice hole, we're just staring at each other, just fucking eye to eye, just staring at each other no fucking way.
Were you playing John? So this summer we had a moose come in to 15 yards from you as you're playing John Prine on the guitar. What were you playing to bring in this muskrat? Was it also John Prine?
I wouldn't doubt it if it was. Animals like John Prine. I don't know if we ever talked about that story on the podcast.
We did, I think.
Yeah, that
we came to the conclusion that we came to the conclusion that all male animals love the same things. John Prine, I won't say the rest. It's inappropriate.
They can extrapolate.
Yeah.
But John Prine, first one.
Yep.
Fuck.
Well, considering our closing thoughts have gone for 30 minutes, I think that's a good place to end, don't you?
I think that's a good place to end. I'm glad I remember that fucking muskrat story. I don't know why I skipped that. Fucking blew out of my mind. That took up half my fucking fishing experience.
What do you think Dave would have said if you had caught the muskrat and then brought it up to the tournament area? I want this measure. No,
my dad was like, no shit. My dad was planning on doing that. My dad wanted to kill the muskrat and bring it in, hooked, like hanging on a gaff, because a gaff's still a hook. He wanted to walk up to the fucking check-in station with a fucking muskrat hanging off a gaff. Being, hey, what do I get for this? Fucking consolation prize or some shit.
Yeah.
Cause on the board, cause I know they only had the 4 categories, but up on the record board, they still had like carp. Like they had a carp written out for like the biggest carp turned in. They still had that.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but like someone tried to turn the carp. But they had the record up there. I just wanted to like fucking have some guy walk up there, look at the record board, and in the bottom right corner in small writing it says muskrat. 3.5 pounds or some shit.
Oh, how many inches do you think it was?
The muskrat?
Yeah.
It wasn't a very big muskrat. I don't know, like 12 inches.
Oh.
It was a little guy, but it was funny as fuck. I don't even know how those things even get under the ice if no one's got an ice hole out there.
Like I said, we need to talk to a game and fish biologist or something, because there's something going on around here. But yeah, so if you're out ice fishing in March and April, keep an eye out for muskrats, and if you have one consistently come into your hole, take a picture of it and let us know.
Yeah, it happens. It's a thing.
Yeah.
And apparently it's more frequent than you imagine.
Well, with that, we will see you next time on the Rendezvous.
See ya.